Okay, so like my other videos, I would like to preface this one as well by saying this is not in any way me telling anybody to not go to college. There are thousands of YouTubers and social media people that will tell you don't go to college or to drop out. I just want to give background on like what my situation was because I think that there's a lot to consider when you're getting ready for the like college years stage of life. And I don't see much representation for people that were like me. A lot of YouTubers, like college YouTubers that I watched, were all really like rich, and it seemed like they were like well taken care of, and so like college wasn't that big of a deal for them. Or like I said, they all drop out. Yeah, in my situation, I'm first generation in college. I'm a low income family my entire life, and that was a really big part of my FAFSA and being able to go to college and where I chose to go to college. And I also lived at home. I stayed in my hometown and I stayed in my mother's home. Those backgrounds really affected how my college experience was. Okay, so this video is going to be broken into like 3 parts. It's going to be my background, like my like college journey, I guess. I graduate this year. This is my last semester. I will be graduating at the age of 25. So my journey, my like rating of how my college experience was, and then just advice I have so that, I don't know, you do or don't have the same experience I have. Starting off with how my college journey was, starting in high school. So like I said, I was low income my entire life. I only had my mother, and I have 2 sisters. I'm the middle child, one older, one younger. I only had my mother. We were a low-income family. I got free lunches at school. My family was on food stamps, stuff like that. So in high school, I was a student athlete. I played multiple sports. I was in mostly AP classes. I had a good GPA. I think I graduated with like a 3.7. And I had a job my senior year. So I was a really well-rounded high school student. I live in California. I applied to only CSUs. So I think I applied to CSU Sac State, which is where I ended up going, San Francisco, and then I think there's one in LA too. My high school forced all seniors to apply to colleges, and those are the ones I applied to, got into. But they were CSUs. It wasn't like I applied to UCs or like private colleges or anything. I applied to a couple colleges. I got into all the colleges. And that was my high school thing. I was really smart. I took all AP classes, like I said. I didn't take any AP tests. I was a student athlete. I played a lot of sports, but I wasn't like extremely amazing at anything to be like scouted or anything. And then my senior year, I got a job. And so I only went to school part-time, and then I worked part-time my senior year of high school. Immediately upon graduating high school, the summer after graduation, I enrolled into community college. And that is because even though in my high school they forced us to apply to colleges and they forced us to fill out the FAFSA, I actually like did not know exactly what to do, and I was very afraid to go straight to a university because I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to afford it. I was in college for a very long time, and that entire time my mom and my family did not contribute a cent to my college education. It was completely me and FAFSA. Summer after high school, I went to community college. Here I picked my major, which was extremely difficult, and the counselors were not very helpful. I had a mix of part-time and full-time classes, and I worked, or sometimes where I had 2 jobs, sometimes when I only had 1 job. Community college took me 3 years. Usually they say it takes 2. It took me 3. And I would just like to say that I did not enjoy community college. It felt like second high school, but with me now choosing to be here instead of being forced to be here. And I immediately like stopped caring. I was very focused on the jobs I had instead of studying. So there was like a dramatic drop in how high achieving I appeared in high school and how like low my grades and GPA was in community college. And it was just that, you know, I had a job. I had multiple jobs in that 3 years, and I cared about getting money instead of getting good grades, and it was very apparent in my grades. And I think I finished community college with like a 2.5 compared to 3.7 I had in high school. Also, when I picked my major, I picked based on what I was interested in at the time, which was sports. I played a lot of sports in high school, as I said. So I picked the major of kinesiology. And the counselors at my community college, I specifically told them I wanted to do physical therapy because that's the only thing I knew as a job relating to sports. And she kind of was just like, that's hard to do. And then that was it. That was the only advice she gave me. Every time I went to talk to counselors, they never really answered my questions. I didn't like my counselors in community college or university. Community college took me 3 years, and then I went to university. I went to California State University, Sacramento, Sac State. I transferred there during COVID. So I was in community college from 2017 to 2020, and then in 2020 I transferred to Sac State literally in the middle of COVID. It was awful. I hated it. And again, my grades dropped. And it was a mix of the transition of professors not knowing how to teach online, because I've had online courses before and they were fine, but professors that were used to teaching face to face having to now teach online, it was awful and I didn't learn anything from any of them. Also, just things at home. At the time that I transferred to Sac State, my living situation had changed. I went from just living with my mom and my younger sister to now living with my mom, my younger sister, my older sister's husband, and my older sister's child. So it was a very crowded house, and we were all stuck inside for, COVID. The same as how I did with community college. Sometimes my class schedule was full-time, and sometimes it was part-time. The only reason it was part-time in university, though, was because a lot of the courses that I needed were full. Since I did so bad that first year with COVID, I took a semester off. I didn't go to school for a semester, and I just worked, and that was a big waste of time. I worked at McDonald's. I saved no money. It was just a waste of like a few months because I got nothing done. I just got kind of fat and I got acne, and that's all that happened. In my time in university, I started to question if I cared about my major anymore. I really went back and forth with like do I even like exercise? Do I even care about this? Especially with how in COVID I couldn't play sports anymore, and I gained a bunch of weight, and I was like, is this even what I want to do anymore? When I was in community college, I forgot to mention, I did play on the community college's tennis team. When I got to university, it was COVID. I didn't try out for any sports. I gained a bunch of weight. My major is exercise, and I wasn't doing that, so I was kind of just like, do I even care about this anymore? And also, since my grades had been getting so bad, it wasn't even just, do I care about my major anymore, but do I even care about school anymore? So it was just a lot of loss of motivation. That was my university. I stuck through it, though, and I'm about to graduate. And so I was in university from 2020 to now, graduating in May of 2024. And I will have my major in kinesiology, and then I added a minor in nonprofit management, and that will be the end of my college career. And at this point in time, I have no plans for what to do after I graduate. That was my journey in college. Was it worth it to me? And we're going to be rating on my education, my experience, and my preparedness for the future, right? Because that's what college is all about. For education, I gave it a 0 out of 10. I do not remember a single thing from any class I took, and I was in school for 7 years. I don't remember one thing. And to give you guys an example, I took anatomy both semesters, and I took anatomy 2 twice. And if you ask me anything anatomical, I could not answer it. I don't remember any of the bones. I don't remember any of the muscles. And I even have them behind me, and I don't even know them. And then another example could be, took Spanish 1 and 2. Can't speak Spanish. Can't even, listen to others, having a conversation and know what's going on. Can't start a conversation with somebody else. I didn't learn anything. Then also, just looking back, a good majority of my learning was being assigned to watch YouTube videos. The whole thing with my grades being bad in high school, not in high school, in college and university, it wasn't that I'm a bad student and I didn't know what was going on. I did well on all of my tests. The thing that dropped my grades, dropped my GPA, I think I'm graduating with a 2.6, is that I would miss deadlines. So it was just turning stuff in. It didn't matter that I knew the material, because it was very obvious in my test scores that I knew what the material was. It was just that I always had missing or late assignments, and that's what gave me my C average instead of a B or A average. So I don't feel like I really learned anything. And it was just about, can you turn stuff in, basically. And I feel like a lot of people complain about that. School, whether it's college or high school, it's just about your ability to turn stuff in on time. For experience, I give it a 3 out of 10. This might get bumped up to a 4 or 5, but the bumping up in the experience score is going to be because of what I get from after graduation. It's not from how the actual college experience was. I did nothing college related outside of going to my classes. I worked full time all 7 years. So I either had 1 or 2 jobs all 7 years. And I lived off campus, so I wasn't like on campus seeing what was going on constantly. I was in school for 7 years. I have no friends that I made from college, and I have no connections with like professors, counselors, staff on campus. Like, no one in my life is from my universities. All of my friends are from childhood, family, outside of school. I have not made one connection with people from college. But it's not a complete zero, because classes that you're forced to take outside of your major, I feel like those are really beneficial. When I first started college, I was like, ew, I hate general ed, because I was like, who fucking cares? It's just making me forced to be here for a little longer. But part of my general ed was like sociology and psychology, and I actually really enjoyed those classes, and I wouldn't have taken them if I didn't have to. But I ended up really liking them. Because of stuff like general ed courses and like extra courses, I took a swimming class and I learned how to swim at like the age of 19. I didn't know before now. I took a tennis class, and that had the coach scout me and get me placed on playing tennis for the community college. My final year, my final semester, I signed up to run a 5K, and I signed up for a rock climbing class. And so there was like some experiences that I did enjoy, but it's just I did not do much in college for the 7 years I was there. And then the bumping up to a 4 or a 5 is because there's just benefits to being an alumni, I guess. And so I think that would give it a bump. Also, being a college student, you get to ride the bus for free. And so I have a car, but sometimes just the bus and light rail are more convenient for like not wanting to park, especially in downtown Sacramento. So experience was a 3/4 out of 10. Preparedness for the future, I gave a 0. I have no idea what I'm doing next. Like, after I graduate, I have no idea what to do. My major is kinesiology, which is related to health and public services. And it seems like everything about my major, like the next step in life would be graduate school. It doesn't really seem like there's anything I could do with my bachelor's. And maybe I just need to research more into it, but like speaking with counselors and speaking with professors, every job they've ever mentioned needs graduate school. Like being a doctor, being a physical therapist, being a physician's assistant, being a nurse, being this, being that. Every job mentioned at school was always, well, yeah, you're gonna go to graduate school. Going back to how I didn't like my counselors and I didn't like I was given really no advice about my major. Nobody told me that. In community college, when I was like, oh, I want to be a physical therapist, the lady was just like, that's hard. And that was it. She wasn't like, maybe if you would like something related to that, try this instead, and da-da-da-da-da. Especially, having the fact that I worked so much because I was a low income student. To get into graduate school, you need stuff like volunteer and internship hours. And how I said with my experience, I made no connections with anybody at school. You need references for stuff like grad school, references for job positions. I don't know at all what I want to do once I get this piece of paper. So, preparedness for the future, it gets a 0. That was just my experience with college. And so I do have advice to give for anybody that's about to enter college or is like maybe started and feeling a little stuck, because I had such a bad experience. But I don't think that having a bad experience means that going to college was useless. I just think that maybe I should have took more time when getting ready to go, My advice to anybody out there in this part of their life is it's okay to take a gap to make a plan. I was kind of just in high school chilling, playing sports, doing my homework, got a job. College wasn't really like even brought up, I think, until like the second half of senior year. And so everybody was like, go to college, and I was like, okay. And so even when I applied, I didn't know what I was going to study. The counselor asked me when I was picking classes, and I was like, oh, well, I like this, I guess. I literally picked my major on the spot. So I would say, and I feel like that, threw off the rest of my life. So, it's okay, after you graduate high school, take a moment and, everybody's pressuring you to go to college, but take a moment to find out if that's really what is best for you. I went literally directly after high school. I graduated high school in May, and I think I started college in, June or July. I took summer classes because I was just like, what else is there to do? Everybody said go to college, so I went to college immediately. But yeah, no plan, just signed up. Something that wasn't really told to me was you can get certificates. So like plumbers and stuff, I guess, would be like one of those things that you consider when you think certificates. Plumbers, electricians, construction workers get paid well. Those are certificates. Another side to that is technicians, which I had no idea what that was until literally like 2 years ago. And I feel like that would have been perfect for someone like me who just wanted to be surrounded by this type of things. So like my younger sister is a pharmacy tech. She's getting her pharmacy tech certificate. One of my cousins is getting a medical assistant tech certificate. One of my friends has a phlebotomy certificate. And these are all like really well paying jobs. And especially if like you're young and like you jump right into that, have a well paying job when you're young and you are like kind of more prepared for life. But yeah, look into certificate programs. I didn't even know those existed. Oh, another thing to consider is what do you even like and what do you want to do with your life, and does that even like require a degree or certificate? Like if like we want to do something and it doesn't even need that, don't fucking go. It's a waste of time, it's a waste of money. Do you honestly need a degree? Like, yeah, it'll like make you look better, but is it like required? And then if you do decide that you are going to go to college and you are someone who's in my position, first generation, nobody has any idea what they're doing, low income, poor as hell, and don't want to go into debt, go to community college. It's cheap, they're flexible. I feel like my professors in community college were a lot kinder than my professors in university, especially with late work and missing class and da-da-da-da-da. Community college was literally built to be flexible for you. Like, it's literally a place where university is too much stress. Go to community college. So yeah, don't look down upon community colleges. Go there. It'll save you a lot of money and a lot of credits. Problem that I have with university, with me having been in school for 7 years instead of 4 or 6 or 5 or whatever, was that when I got to university, a lot of classes that I needed were full, and that's because my major was health and everybody's trying to be a doctor or a nurse, and so all those classes were always full, and that's why it took me so long. So you know, like, get a lot of classes done at community college. It'll save you time, it'll save you money. Speak with more than one counselor. In the entirety of community college, I had one counselor, and I think I talked to her twice. She did not help me. I made all my classes by myself. There was just a lot of extra classes that didn't even end up helping my degree. And then when I got to university, my counselor that I was assigned to, she would reply late, and she never understood the questions I was asking, and blah, 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 blah. And I would go to just a random counselor that was available, and I would be like, hey, this is my major, this is this class schedule I made. Does it look good? What do I need to do next? And they would help me when my assigned counselor acted like she was too busy for the student she's assigned to. So just speak to more than one person. Before you even go into getting a degree, check what jobs your degrees are used in. So my degree is kinesiology. Honestly, can't find a job other than being like a coach or a doctor that uses my degree. And I think that if I would have gone into something else, a different degree, I would have had more options open, including those ones. If you like are like me and you really like sports and you wanted to study something related to sports, it's fine. What job do you want? It's not even just what major do you want, it's what job do you want in the future. I wanted to be a physical therapist, and so my degree made sense at the time, but I don't want to be that anymore. So now I just have the degree that feels like it can only be used for that one job. So I would say, like, have multiple positions that you could see yourself doing and see if your degree fits all of them. Like, have options. I kind of tunneled my way through college. It was just one path, and I just became stuck at the end. A lot of everything in life is teaching yourself. I don't know, don't choose going to college thinking that it'll set you up like for the entire future. Like, a lot of things that I did in college, I had to teach myself. I had to already know. Like I said, a lot of it isn't even learning, it's turning stuff in. And then you get to the next class and they're kind of like, oh, we should have learned that in this class. But in that class, you're so focused on turning it in that you didn't learn anything. And so it kind of builds up. And so you need to teach yourself outside of class. And it's like not even just like, oh, learning anatomy like by watching YouTube videos, but stuff like speaking to others, writing papers, how to research. It's kind of like you need to teach yourself those outside in order to even be able to perform in your classes. Don't let your part-time jobs rule all your time. So when I was younger, like from 18 to 21, I was terrified of asking for days off of work. And so my schoolwork would pile up and I just kind of let it because I didn't ever want to ask for the day off of work. I didn't want my managers to be mad at me. I didn't want to lose the money. These grades that I'm getting for a paper that I'm not going to see for 7 years, or the money that I'm going to see next week. Like, the money always won. And so I spent so much time at work instead of studying, and it was stupid because none of my jobs were important. I worked at McDonald's, I worked at Five Guys, I worked as a lifeguard, I worked at a grocery store, I work at Amazon now, I worked at Lowe's. Like, I never had a job that meant anything. I've never had a job where if I died the next day, it would matter to that job. So just don't give all your time and energy to these part-time jobs. They're literally just here to fund you going to college. And if you are risking your grades to go to your job, then it's like redundant you working in the first place, because the whole reason you're working is to pay to be able to go to school. If you do plan on going to college, utilize it, not even just getting your degree, getting your education, but utilize it in like making connections, become well-rounded, and build a resume. I didn't do much in college. I didn't talk to people in college. I just went to class and then I left and I went to work. But I would suggest taking advantage of all things on campus. So like now that I'm in my last semester, I'm doing that race. I'm taking that rock climbing class. I'm volunteering my time, building my resume up a little bit, trying to consider what possibilities are there for me in the future. With these last few classes I have, I'm trying to hopefully build up a relationship with at least one professor that I could maybe use. But yeah, if nothing else that you get from college besides that stupid degree paper is that you need connections for the future. And I think that's the most important thing. A lot of the fact that I think that I can't do anything with my life anymore is because everything needs references. So just, make relationships with your teachers and people on campus, and use everything that is on campus because you have to pay for it too. I never used the gym at school, but it's like $200 in my tuition. They have like healthcare, never used it. Not healthcare, but like health services, like, get STD checks and stuff like that. I never used any of that. There was like free movie screenings, free video games, this and that, where all you have to do is sign up. And I never did any of it because I was so focused on my little shitty part-time jobs instead of enjoying my 20s. But that is the end of the video. I hope it puts into perspective what college can be like, because a lot of YouTubers that I see that do stick to college, they're student athletes on a scholarship, living in the dorms, and they make college seem like it's so fun. Or it's those insane medical students that are like rich and they're like, yeah, I live in this apartment by myself and I study 6 hours a day, the most spec'd out MacBook in this like penthouse apartment in New York, and I'm in med school. And that's not what university was like for me at all. I didn't really have time to study. I worked a lot at like shitty jobs. It was a lot of doubting why I was there. I lived at home. I wasn't living on my own. Yeah, it can be difficult for normal people. There's a lot to consider. And it's okay to take your time and really like plan these out. So that way, 7 years of your life isn't wasted like it was for me. In the end, I will be graduating. I will have the piece of paper. I will be the first of my mother's children to get a degree. My mom doesn't have a degree. She's not even from the US. My grandmother, I think she does have a college degree, but it's from a different country. So I will be the first person in my family to get a degree in the United States. And I'm very proud of myself, even though it took so long. Thank you for watching.